What if I told you that one of the most famous photographers in the world never actually wanted to become a photographer? And that one day he managed to convince Pablo Picasso to let him take his photograph. And another day found himself in the middle of a strange photo session where Salvador Dalí posed almost like a theatrical performer? The man behind all of this used to say just one simple sentence: "I am not an artist. I am a photojournalist." Those words belong to Ara Güler. Today, he is known as one of the most important photographers in the world. The man who captured the memory of Istanbul. The man often called the Eye of Istanbul. But here's the interesting part: Ara Güler never intended to become a photographer. When he was young, his mind was set on cinema. He wanted to become a film director. He spent time in film studios, went to the theater constantly, and dreamed of building a life inside the world of cinema. But life sometimes writes a different script. When he began working as a journalist, someone placed a camera in his hands. What may have started as simple assignment soon grew into one of the most powerful visual archives of the 20th century. And perhaps the most ironic part of all is this: Ara Güler never called himself an artist. In one interview he said, "I am not an artist. I am a photojournalist." For him, photography was never about creating art. It was about documenting life. People, streets, moments in time, exactly as they were. Maybe that's why his photographs feel so real. But Ara Güler's story isn't limited to the streets of Istanbul. His path also crossed with some of the greatest artists of the 20th century. One of them was the legendary painter Pablo Picasso. At the time, Picasso was already a global icon. But he was also known for being a difficult personality, especially when it came to journalists and photographers. One day, Ara Güler went to meet him in order to photograph him. But Picasso wasn't particularly interested in being photographed. Many people might have given up in that moment. But Ara Güler chose a different approach. He didn't immediately take out his camera. Instead, he started a conversation. They talked about art, about life. Gradually the atmosphere shifted from an interview into a natural, relaxed discussion. After a while, Picasso became comfortable. In fact, he began showing Ara Güler around his studio. And during those moments, Ara Güler captured some of the most intimate portraits ever taken of Picasso. Perhaps the secret of a great photograph isn't only technical skill. Perhaps it's the ability to understand the person standing in front of the lens. Ara Güler's path crossed with another extraordinary artist as well. This time, it was one of the most eccentric figures of surrealism, Salvador Dalí. Dalí wasn't just a painter. He was also someone who seemed to live on a stage. Ara Güler realized this almost immediately during their photo session. Because Dalí didn't approach the shoot like a normal portrait session. One moment he would hold a serious pose. The next moment he would make dramatic gestures, changing expressions as if he were performing for an audience. It felt less like a photo shoot and more like a small theatrical performance. Later, Ara Güler described him with a simple sentence: Dalí was not only a painter. He was also a great showman. Maybe that was exactly what made Ara Güler such a remarkable photographer. He didn't just take pictures of people. He captured their character, their energy, sometimes even their strangeness. And perhaps the most fascinating part of all is this: a young man who never wanted to become a photographer ended up creating one of the greatest visual memories of the 20th century. The streets of Istanbul. Fishermen and workers. Some of the greatest artists in the world. All of them passed through the same lens. And when we look back today, we reel.